Brown University. 2 students were killed and 9 others were wounded during the attack Saturday. Governor Daniel McKee said he is hopeful an arrest will be made soon. And Detroit Mayor-elect Mary Sheffield has selected her chief of staff, Brian White, to be the city's deputy mayor. Sheffield and White have worked together for over a decade. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Compassion sponsorship means food, healthcare, education, and most of all, being known, loved, and protected. There are thousands of kids waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A troubling season for the Clippers continues to generate more misery. They lost to Memphis last night, 121-103. 4 straight losses for the Clippers, who now have lost 8 straight at home. The Clippers haven't won a home game since October 31st against New Orleans. The loss to Memphis drops the Clippers to 6-20. If it wasn't for a 5-22 New Orleans, the Clippers would be at the bottom of the Western Conference. The Lakers are off until Thursday night in Utah at 18-7. The Lakers have the 3rd best record in the West. Luka Doncic still leads the NBA in scoring with 34.7 points per game. The Rams will not have wide receiver Devontae Adams for Thursday night's showdown game at Seattle. Adams suffered a strained hamstring in Sunday's win over Detroit. The Rams are considering resting Adams for the final 3 regular season games to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Happy holidays! This holiday season, KBLA Talk 1580 wishes you and yours joy, peace, and prosperity. As we celebrate with family and friends, we're already looking forward to an exciting first quarter, packed with must-attend events to kick off the new year just right. In January, join us for our inaugural Brotherhood Brunch, bringing together community leaders, change makers, and everyday people for inspiration and connection. February means it's time for our signature Black History Month luncheon, a powerful celebration you won't want to miss. And in March, Women's History Month, we're once again hosting our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium and Luncheon, addressing the issues that matter most inside our community. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, happy holidays. Stay tuned for more details on these incredible upcoming events. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice, your community, your power.
1 year ago, flames tore through Altadena and Eaton Canyon, changing lives forever. From the ashes, can a beloved community rise stronger? Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, host of First Things First, weekday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on KBLA Talk 1580. And I'm inviting you to join us on Wednesday, January 7th, as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on the 1-year anniversary of this horrific and devastating fire. We're remembering those we lost, celebrating the heroes and sheroes who answered the call, and honoring the resilience of neighbors.
So this is Christmas, and what have you done? Another year over, and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you have fun. The near and the dear ones, the old and the young.
A very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's hope it's a good one without any fear.
And so this is Christmas, for weak and for strong, the rich and the poor ones,
Tavis, Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this hour. We'll talk about this iconic song, Happy Christmas. War is over in just a moment. But on the B side of this hour, we'll be joined in conversation with glass artist Jason McDonald and talk about how his collab with Solange Knowles has put him on the map and his intent to now break barriers for a black craft artist. So we'll talk about that on the back side of this hour. But we commenced this hour in conversation with Arlene Reckson, former music executive and production coordinator for John Lennon and Yoko Ono, who will take us inside the recording session for this, again, iconic track, Happy Christmas, War is Over, which included the voices of the Harlem Community Choir. Ms. Reckson, good to have you on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And thank you for including.
My pleasure. Good to have you on the program. So I want to make the most of the time that we have here. I know that you've had a number of different careers, but just take a moment or two here. We got time to tell me a bit about the backstory of your music career. Let me just start there. We'll work our way into this album and to this track in particular. But just tell me about your former life in the music business.
One of my lives. I started out as the nighttime receptionist at Record Plant Studios.
Mm-hmm.
I went on to be the manager of Record Plant. I also later on went and worked at Power Station. I was the manager of Power Station. And I always loved working at recording studios more than the record companies. But after I left Record Plant, I was in the A&R department, the Artist and Repertoire department of Polygram. Then went on to be the A&R administrator at ATV Pie, the English label. Eventually, I became the first woman A&R director.
You said you love being in recording studios more than at the record labels. Tell me why. I think I get it, but tell me why.
Well, it's obvious. That's where the creativity was.
Yeah.
That's where the music was made. Recording companies, it's a product. You're putting out a product. It's the business of music as opposed to the music business.
Yeah. To the extent that you can, tell me what the joy is of being, and there are many people listening right now. I mean, obviously we all love music. Music is on the soundtrack of all of our lives. And yet most of us, as I think about it, we take these things for granted because you've done it and I've done it so many times. We take these things for granted. But what is the joy of being inside a recording studio when an album is being made? And you've been in there when hit albums were made. We'll come back to that in a second, including this song Happy Christmas. But what's the joy of being in a recording studio when it's going down?
I think you kind of see the not just the birth of it, but the incarnation of it, how it changes, how it develops. It's other than somebody like a Phil Spector who goes in and kind of likes to do it all live, and that was sort of the sound of wall, or the wall of sound rather. Mm-hmm. But most of it starts with tracks, and they're starting, and it builds and it layers, and it duplicates, and then you have a lead vocal, you have the background vocals, and you kind of see this thing come together, and then you see it as a complete record. I think for me, one of the highlights of my career was when I was invited in to listen to Imagine as an album for the first time, when they were going to listen to it as an album, which means they're putting all 10, 12 songs together, sequencing them. They're going to sit down and they're going to listen to the entire album as an album for the first time. And I remember being invited into that session, and that was uniquely special.
Yep. That's high cotton, as we say, to have been invited in that room when they're listening to Imagine, again, and imagining it, of course, as an album. But I'm fascinated by how all this started for you. You mentioned earlier that you were initially the nighttime receptionist. How did you grow from being the receptionist to being a producer?
The music business was different in those days, and it was really people who loved music, had an ear. It kind of grew into like, you had to have some kind of a law degree or something to be. And the A&R department no longer became the presidents of companies. It was coming out of the legal department. So I think the whole business changed. So it was an opportunity that you were there, you lived it, you were there, and it became your life. And and your friends became the people you work with, your colleagues. There was no difference. Everything was all about the music.
Yeah, I love the origin story. We were talking about the origin story in our last hour of the American Revolution, but I love this origin story of Arlene Reckson starting out as a nighttime receptionist, but then she gets involved in the production of this holiday classic, Happy Christmas, War is Over. We'll talk about how all that happened when we come forward with the Harlem Community Choir, I should add. More of this conversation when we come forward here on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirits and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low. It just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
With curbside pickup and delivery available, you'll always find what you love, only at Total Wine and More.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Malik Books on celebrating 35 years in business.
It's a celebration.
Malik Books proudly houses one of the largest African American and diverse children's books in the nation. This is the perfect time to pick up holiday reads, meaningful gifts, and to support literacy in our community. For 35 years, Malik Books has stood strong in the Black Book Revolution, uplifting stories that heal, inspire, and transform. One reader at a time. Change your thoughts, change your life. Books are the gift that keeps giving. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, congratulations to Malik Books on 35 years of culture, pride, and community.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
Tavis Smiley and Arlene Reckson, former music executive and production coordinator for John Lennon and Yoko Ono, who is about to take us inside the recording session of the iconic holiday song, Happy Christmas, War is Over, which included young voices from the Harlem Community Choir. So let me just start with this, Arlene. You sort of teed this up a moment ago, but tell me about how you got connected to John and Yoko in the first place.
Well, they were clients of Record Plant, and I was working at Record Plant at that point. I was the studio manager. I first met them when I also was opening the door, buzzing them in.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I met them is when they came in to work on Imagine. So I'd known them for quite a while, and they were regulars at the studio. I think he really enjoyed the camaraderie of working with other musicians and making music, I guess from his days of working with Paul and in a group. So he was in the studio all the time.
Yeah.
How it came to be with that particular project was they were working on the record, and I think it was Al Steckler came out. Al was an executive at Apple or APCO, and came and said, "We need a choir for tomorrow." For tomorrow, that's how much notice. I think we did it in about 12 hours, and only a young person could do it. I don't think I could pull it off today.
Yeah.
So he walked out, and I was like, "Where do I get a choir? How do I get a choir? So quickly?" And the receptionist at that time was Dee Lee, and she said to me, "Well, all the churches have choirs up in Harlem." So I just started calling churches, and luckily I got to speak to a deacon at one, and he said he did have kids, and I said, "I'm going to come up there and talk to you and make arrangements. We need them for tomorrow morning." So I said to Al, "I need a limousine. I've got to look like legit here." So I took a limousine, so we went up there in a stretch, spoke to the deacon. I had with me were going to be the next day, how many kids were there to be, told him what the project was. Went back to the studio. It's already the evening. I hire a bus to meet me in the morning to go to pick up the kids.
Mm-hmm.
We get a bus. I go to McDonald's. I think I get like 30 Happy Meals, breakfast meals for the kids. I come. Al had provided the release forms. Each child had to have a release signed by their parent.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they gave the church like a $500 donation for them singing. Brought them in. The choir, the woman who had the choir was there with them. She was I think the only adult, and myself on the bus with the kids. We brought them in, and then they went into the studio. I don't really think that their name was the Harlem Community Choir.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure they even had a name, but I think for the purposes of the project, they kind of gave the name. Maybe they used it afterwards. I don't know, but I think it would. And I apologize. I don't remember the church, and how kind and generous they were, and that's really how it happened. It was done, as I said, within 12 hours. It was an idea, and then presented them into the studio, and worked on it.
I want to. I love the creative the creative backstory to how these projects come to be. I'm as we're having this conversation, I'm sitting in the studio, of course, and I'm looking at a photo of John and Lennon and Yoko Ono and all these kids surrounding them on the day of this actual recording, and it's a gorgeous photo of all these beautiful black baby faces who appear on this song that, again, was pulled together in 12 hours and goes on to become a huge Christmas classic. I see. I was preparing for our conversation last night, Arlene, and looking at some list of favorite Christmas songs, and this song still tops the charts in this country and around the globe as one of the all-time favorite Christmas songs, and certainly one of John Lennon's, if not certainly one of his great protest songs. Again, it's called Happy Christmas, War is Over. But I love this photo of all these precious black babies, again, surrounding John and Yoko in this particular photo. I wonder, on the creative side, if you can tell me whatever you recall about what happens when these kids get into the studio. Again, you find them at the last minute. They show up hours later. You feed them some McDonald's breakfast. Now they're ready to go. But you're in the studio, and somebody is teaching these kids the lyrics, teaching them the song. What do you recall about the creative process of them actually learning this before they start putting this stuff on recording this on audio?
Actually, Yoko had it written on a board, and she was basically up there. John and Yoko were like the school teachers, and they had their choir master, and the three of them were teaching the kids what to sing, and she was singing along with them. And basically, there are photos of them in front of this board, singing. And there is an interesting thing about the photo. The photo was taken by Ian McMillan, and John was really upset because he didn't realize that Ian had bought black and white film. And he said, "You didn't do it in color? Look at all the colors we have here. He's got Japanese and these little black babies, as you're saying, these beautiful children." It was a gamut of so many different races in there. And he was really upset. And I had a camera. I was taking photos. He said, "Your photo's in color." He wanted that picture to be in color. I said, "No, mine's black and white too." I was just an amateur photographer. So that's how the photo came to be in black and white.
Wow. But John was not happy.
No.
That is hilarious. So were you in the room or in the studio? Where were you when these kids were recording? Once they learned the lyrics, where were you when they were actually recording this with John?
At that point, I was probably at my desk.
At your desk, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
So I want that to be in the photo is John had said to Al at one point after this was done, because they had done the tracks earlier, but the choir was brought in that morning, and said, "Oh, did a great job, Al." And Al was saying, "Oh yeah," and then Roy Cicala, who was the chief engineer, said, "No, Al didn't get those kids. Arlene did." So that's when John came out and said, "Come, I want you to be in the photo." And that's how I got the photo. So if you look at the photo, you see May Pang, you see Phil Spector. I'm the next person over.
Nope, I see you. I'm looking right at you right now. Since you went there, let me follow you. When you see this photo all these years later, what runs through your mind? What hits you in the heart? How do you process seeing this photo with John and Yoko and all these kids on that day when they recorded this now iconic Christmas song? How do you process it when you see this picture all these years later?
Well, I have a huge one in my house.
Yeah.
Ian gave me a large copy of that.
Right.
It's very warm. It's the message is still there, and I think that's why I remember so much of it, because when I see that photo every day, I don't look at it every day, but and I do. And I do recall that day very, very much, the details of it.
Yeah.
So,
it isn't the case that most of us get a chance to be a part of bringing something together. And again, you got these kids. It isn't the every day that we get a chance to be a part of curating something that becomes this iconic. So you've heard this song more times than you can count. I've heard it more times than I can count, but I wasn't involved in helping make it happen. All these years later, when you hear the song, does it do anything to you in particular?
Yes, yeah. It's complex in terms of the message, but it's also my relationship with John and Yoko.
Right.
His scene, all of it. So it becomes very personal.
Yeah. I haven't asked you this question. I could have asked you this question earlier, but I want to just raise it now. And that is what your reflections are of John and Yoko. And I ask that because, again, you start out as this night receptionist. And I can imagine, not unlike most people who get a chance to meet, much less work with anyone who is a part of the Beatles. We've all seen that footage, people passing out and girls crying and screaming and literally just falling out in the presence of the Beatles. But here you are, having established a personal relationship with one of them. Did you fan out from the very beginning? Were you always cool in your association with John Lennon?
I'd like to think I was cool. I guess to some degree there was a certain amount of shyness, and but I was kind of brought into the inner sanctum very quickly when they went to Ann Arbor, Michigan for the 2-on-10 concert to free John Sinclair. They brought me during the famous Lost Weekend. I was living in California with John and May, and then I came back here and was at the Dakota with Yoko. So I had a very close relationship with them after I left Record Plant outside of the studio. Until this day, I mean, even recently, Sean and Yoko invited me to the premiere of the one-to-one movie when it came out in the theaters.
Yeah.
So we still are somewhat in touch. It was a very special time, and it was, you know, I guess I was a kid in high school whose goal was to meet the Beatles. So I guess, you know, I accomplished that. But yes, it was. I look back on it, and I'm not jaded by it. Let's say that. I appreciate it.
What do you recall? I've read any number of pieces over the years about John Lennon being somewhat disappointed, not just with the lack of a color photo that day, but wasn't altogether happy with the outcome of the song. I don't know if that's true or not, but what do you recall about what John and Yoko's reaction was to what they recorded that day? And once you answer that question, I want to just get your take on what you make of the song all these years later.
You know, I never heard that, and that was not the impression that I got at all, that he was upset. I think if you were not happy with it, he would not have released it.
Right. That's fair. That's fair. Although artists can always be critical of their own stuff. They hear stuff and they say, hey, I should have done this, should have done that, should have done the other. I've heard that more times than I can count, but I take your point. So let me just ask you then what Arlene Reckson makes of the song. You helped make it happen by finding this choir, but you mentioned that it does something special to you every time you hear it. But what did you think of the song then, and all these years later, how do you process the song?
You know, I understood the message. I understood what they were doing. I understood also at the time the politics that were happening around them, and what was going on in their life. You know, keep in mind, Nixon very much wanted to get John out of the country. You know, that he was tapping his phone, and people didn't believe John. And I remember being in the house before they moved to Dakota, when they were down on Bang Street, and you know, he picked up the phone. He said, "I'm going now. Take messages," you know, to the people that were like, you know, tapping his phone. So I knew that this was him being very vulnerable to be anti-war, to make a political statement. So it took courage on his part, and. Again, it was part of the time. You know, I was a hippie. We were all anti-war. Yeah. So it was. I understood that part of it, at least too.
Well, you'll be happy to know that some of us are still anti-war, but I digress on that point. All these years later,
I think we all are.
Yeah, well, not all of us, but not everybody in the White House. But that's another issue, Arlene. I ain't trying to pull you into my politics. I'll leave that alone. Let me just close with this question. You mentioned that you're still close to Yoko and Sean. They recently invited you to a premiere. Let me just ask you, does anybody know, has anybody been in contact with any of these kids in this photo, on this record, all these years later?
No, and I've thought of that many times, wondering had any influence, any impact on their lives. Unfortunately, no, and I blame myself, I don't remember the church where I found them. So, no, I don't. Maybe they're listening and hopefully come forward.
No, you're forgiven for that. That's been a lot of years. But it is a gorgeous photo of John and Yoko and all these kids, including Arlene Reckson in the photo. Just an amazing, iconic piece of photography. What a day that was, though. And now you know the backstory. You know, I said all the time, I love the backstory. So now you know the backstory of how this song came to be. And we are grateful and thankful to Arlene Reckson all these years later for finding that church and finding these kids and making this record possible. It's called Happy Christmas. War is Over. Arlene Reckson, thank you for the time and the reflection and the memory. I appreciate you. Enjoy the happy holiday season.
You too. My pleasure.
Thank you very much. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward?
Because he's not going back.
And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
I'm Misty Jordan with BIN News Now. President Trump says he thinks an end to the Russian-Ukraine war is getting closer. Speaking from the White House, Trump said he spoke with a number of European leaders recently who want the war to end as fast as possible.
Should have never happened, should have never started. That war should have never ever started, but it did, and we're trying to get it solved.
The president said they're working to get Russia and Ukraine on the same page. Authorities in Rhode Island continue their search for the suspect responsible for a deadly shooting at Brown University. 2 students were killed and 9 others were wounded during the attack Saturday. Governor Daniel McKee said he is hopeful an arrest will be made soon. And Detroit Mayor-elect Mary Sheffield has selected her chief of staff, Brian White, to be the city's deputy mayor. Sheffield and White have worked together for over a decade. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A troubling season for the Clippers continues to generate more misery. They lost to Memphis last night, 121-103. 4 straight losses for the Clippers, who now have lost 8 straight at home. The Clippers haven't won a home game since October 31st against New Orleans. The loss to Memphis drops the Clippers to 6-20. If it wasn't for a 5-22 New Orleans, the Clippers would be at the bottom of the Western Conference. The Lakers are off until Thursday night in Utah at 18-7. The Lakers have the 3rd best record in the West. Luka Doncic still leads the NBA in scoring with 34.7 points per game. The Rams will not have wide receiver Devontae Adams for Thursday night's showdown game at Seattle. Adams suffered a strained hamstring in Sunday's win over Detroit. The Rams are considering resting Adams for the final 3 regular season games to make sure he's healthy for the playoffs. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
This is the story of the one. As the purchasing manager at a manufacturing plant, she knows the only thing more important than having the right safety gear is having it there when you need it. That's why she partners with Grainger for auto reordering, so her team members can count on her to have cut-resistant gloves on hand, and each shift can run safely and efficiently. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
I tried to drink it away. I tried to put one in the air. I tried to dance it away. I tried to change it with my hair. I wear my credit card below. Thought a new dress would make it better. I tried to work it away, but that just made me even sadder. I tried to keep myself busy. I ran around in circles, think I made myself dizzy. I slept it away, I sexed it away, I read it away. Away, away,
I'm Tavis Smiley. Your conversation now to close this program today with glass artist Jason McDonald, who will explain his collaboration with Solange Knowles. That's put him on the map in a very real way, and how he now wants to break down barriers for black craft artists. Jason McDonald, good to have you on the program. How are you today, sir?
Well, it's great to be speaking with you. I think about that thing you say a lot. If I complained, I'd be an ingrate, and I feel exactly the same way. Life is so good.
You are kind. You're kind. I mean that every time I say it, and I'm glad to hear that it resonates with you. So there's something that you believe in that resonates with me when preparing for our conversation. I read your artist statement, and I love the opening quote on your artist statement. It comes from the great James Baldwin, and it says very simply but poignantly, the responsibility of a writer or artist is to excavate the experience of the people who produced him. The responsibility of a writer or artist is to excavate the experience of the people who produced him. Those are the words of James Baldwin. Unpack that for me as you hear those words that Baldwin wrote.
Well, I think that the difference between art that's really effective and art that is, still aspirational, it's its ability to convey a message. And I think that there's no better message than speaking up and using your talents and abilities and curiosities to explore and critique the world you came from, that produced you. And I think that that's what he was trying to say there.
Yeah.
I also think that there's a responsibility part to that, not just a passive call, but like an active call to excavate that experience through thoughtful consideration and public discourse,
Mm-hmm. And how does all of that show up in the work that you do as a glassmaker?
Oh, well, I have several different series of work that kind of touch on it. I think a lot about diversity within the field of glass and how there's really not very many brothers and sisters who are engaged in this pursuit. I can count people who are doing it for a living on my fingers and toes. And I use one of my series of art to talk about just the conspicuous absence of Black folk within the field. It's such a high bar for entry. Like, it requires either a ton of sacrifice or a ton of privilege. And I think that, maybe part of that is why we don't see more Black folks within the industry. But I think that's some of what I'm thinking about. I also make a series of work where I take things particularly things in, today in the United States of America, inequities that I see that are obvious, like incarceration rates for Black men or mortality rates for Black women in the hospital giving birth. I just think about these things, and I try to discuss them through that narrative work I do.
Yeah. No, I'm still wrestling with that frame you put me in of sacrifice or privilege. That's a serious dialectic. That you're making a huge sacrifice, or you come from a lot of privilege, and most of us find ourselves in that stratum. I'm still processing it, but that's a serious frame to be in. Either you're here because you're making a whole lot of sacrifice in a space like being a glassmaker, or because you got a whole lot of privilege. I need to think about that a little bit more. But while I'm thinking about it, let me just ask you how this field of craft and art became your muse. How does a brother become a glassmaker?
Well, I got to give a shout out to an organization that produced me. I come from a region in the Pacific Northwest, Tacoma, Washington, and there's a really amazing youth arts organization called Hilltop Artists. I think that without that program, I would not have ever experienced glass blowing, and my life might have looked real different. So I just want to give a shout out to you and anybody who might be listening that if you're in a position to support youth arts programming, do it, because it can literally change lives. I think I'm a good example of that. I didn't grow up with any art, very little culture in my home. We never went to a museum. Glass just wasn't on the map. Wouldn't have been a possibility. Invest in youth arts.
Yeah. And yet you find yourself in this space now, say nothing of the collaboration with Solange. I'll get to that in a second here. But tell me more about your journey and how this, again, becomes the space, the lane that you run in, being a glassmaker.
Yeah, so I did glass all through school, and then when I graduated, I just kind of floated for a little bit. I didn't think that there was a career or a future in it, and I had not dived deep enough at that time to really explore all the possibilities. But I found myself later in life, after a number of pursuits that weren't all that fruitless, including getting caught up with the law, just falling into some traps, life traps. I fell into a glass job because I ran into a guy that I used to make stuff with as a kid, and he said, "Come get a job at the factory I'm working at." And when I was there, I met some guys who were very, very talented at what they did, and I had just never seen anyone be so precise, or they could just imagine an object and then produce that object. And it had always been a plaything with me, So I started asking them what I could do to do what they could do, and they said, "You got to practice." And that was 15 years ago that I've been practicing.
Yeah. How would you?
So I fell in love with mastery.
Yeah. Now we're on to something. Tell me about falling. Anyway, tell me about falling in love with mastery. Your story. For those who've done that, everybody's got a story. But tell me about your story of falling in love with mastery.
Oh man, glassblowing is a really fantastic art form because the object you produce, it says everything about where you were on the day you made it. It says about your mood and your ability to communicate with your team. It says about how well you plan for it. It says how much have you practiced it ahead of time. And that object, that physical evidence from that process residue, tells you the story, and it's frozen in time, so you can reference it. You can go back to it and say, on that day, that was the best I could do.
Yeah.
Today, I can do a lot better, and I can compare those two objects side by side. And it's just an infinite. It's an infinite progression of making little tweaks every time you sit down to create. It's like a game with no end boss. It can just keep going.
No, I love it. I love that phrase, falling in love with mastery. That might be the takeaway for the day. Falling in love with mastery. Speaking of mastery, when we come forward, I asked Jason McDonald to describe for us how he would define the objects that he creates. What is the Jason McDonald collection? What's it look like? How it's radio, so he'll help us imagine that since you can't see it through the radio right now. And we'll talk about this collaboration with Solange and a bit more. We're talking to all-star, amazing furnace glass blower, Jason McDonald on Tavis Smiley.
Hope, agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I got the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates our own Keith Underwood, host of the weekend entertainment show Black in the Green Room, on his recent honor at the annual National Arts and Entertainment Journalism Awards. Keith received a first place award presented by the Los Angeles Press Club for his entertainment reporting, and we couldn't be prouder. Congratulations, Keith, from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
We ask seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in more places that could expose you more to identity theft. But LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our US-based restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Don't face drained accounts, fraudulent loans, or financial losses alone. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Your ambition just met its match with Robinhood. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move. All investments involve risk, including loss of principal. Options, futures, and crypto trading carry significant risk and may not suit all investors. Securities offered through Robinhood Financial LLC, member SIPC. Futures trading is offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Crypto offered through Robinhood Crypto LLC, NMLS ID 1702840, not FDIC or SIPC protected. Portfolio management offered by Robinhood Strategies, an SEC registered advisor.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
Yes, indeed, with Jason McDonald, amazing glass blower, amazing collaboration with Solange Knowles. We'll get to that, I promise, in just a second here. But Jason, how would you describe? I've had a chance to see your work, of course, in preparation for our conversation. But how would you describe what you do and the objects that you create?
I've focused for a really long time on a style of glassmaking that it's really team-oriented. So I work in a team of either 2 or 3, and I produce these really thin, delicate, ornate goblets, drinking vessels in the style of like 16th century Italy. And I've sort of updated some things about them. And as I've branched out and grown as an artist, I've tried to take them and adopt some techniques and apply them to my own unique visual language. So I take this heavily ornamented, really frilly, really delicate, very challenging thing, and try to modernize it, try to create a thing that the world hasn't seen yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that through scale in some of my work, and then I do that through a combination of different techniques, like taking these very thin objects and embedding them in a block of glass with a pattern in the background, or taking these objects and like embellishing them after I finish making them at the bench, either carving into them or laminating them, assembling them, like doing a lot of real post-process kind of things.
Yeah. I can tell from our conversation and from my preparation for this conversation that, and reading more about your backstory, that you are what I would call an artist. You are an artist to the core, which leads me to ask how you navigate this line, if you will, between art and commerce.
Yeah, I think that it's a really fine line, and I wish that I had decided to pursue commerce earlier in my career. I get caught up with this notion that a thing needs to be perfect before someone could be interested in it, and I wish that I hadn't lived in the shame of that and had looked at a way to support my art practice through the objects I make, rather than waiting for the moment when they were ready. I think that in a world where there are 8 billion people, whatever you make it's for somebody, and you're always going to. That thing that I said earlier about always improving every single iteration, like every single time I pick up a pipe, I know that the next object is going to be better, and just leaning into the fact that I have room to grow. And what I make is valid is something that I think about. But in terms of expense, man, it's about $1 a minute to be in the hot shop. It's a really resource dependent craft, and the economy of it is that there's just not a lot of space for learning. So that's that thing that I was saying earlier about coming from a space of privilege. A lot of my peers are people who have either sacrificed a lot or come from a family that was able to support them through the years and years of like bad objects that they make until they start making better ones.
Yeah, well, I imagine if you got that, most of us don't have that though. Yeah,
it can be real isolating to look around at your at your field, at your peers, and realize that you just had a real different path into it.
Yep.
That they weren't even thinking or considering you when they created the space.
Yeah. Well, that unique path is what makes your work so unique, and makes it stand out in the way that it does. And so we have to be grateful for the journey that each of us is on. But I, again, still hear your point about sacrifice versus privilege. I'm still marinating, I should say, on that. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Jason McDonald, we'll talk about his collaboration with Solange Knowles. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Roger and Tracy saved over $18,400. Cynthia was recovering from a family tragedy and saved over $10,300. If you are drowning in debt, then call Debt Blue. Debt Blue is a professional debt negotiation firm with over 20 years of experience helping people pay back a fraction of what they owe. Learn how to cut your debt up to half or maybe more. Be debt-free in 24 to 48 months, even with bad credit. With an A+ rating from the BBB, you can rest easy knowing Debt Blue is going to deliver guaranteed debt reduction. Debt Blue offers a success guarantee guarantee. You pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved. That's right. You save money or it's free. Call now for significant debt relief and a free consultation. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879. You don't have to declare bankruptcy. This program works if you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in debt. Call for your free consultation today. 800-200-8879. That's 800-200-8879.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and glass artist Jason McDonald. Okay, Jason, got a couple minutes left here. Tell me about this collaboration with Solange Knowles.
Oh, well, I got a call after I was on a reality television show from one of her people about wanting to do a collaboration with me. They had seen me on TV and liked what I had to say. And I am forever grateful for the opportunity because it's really opened up a lot of doors. Collaborating with this brand has been such a joy to have a chance to step outside of my comfort zone, out of the world of art making and into the world of design, you know, spending some time really considering an object with a mission that I really believe in. And I think the mission of that project was to put luxury design goods with a black aesthetic made by a black artisan into the homes of black folk and people who want to support a black brand. It's like considering people in a space where they just don't receive consideration all that often. I think design is like famously absent of black aesthetic.
Yeah. Are you finding more and more black folk who are appreciating that black aesthetic and the opportunity to support black artisans?
I think more and more every day. And I think in our current political climate, in an era where people are saying things like representation doesn't matter, that it's even more important to lean into people who are staying, you know, authentic to their stated missions and not flip-flopping in the political winds.
Yeah. And finally, as an artist, I mean, every I can ask this question of any artist, any type of artist, and get a different response. But for Jason McDonald, what is it like to be laboring in a space where most of us do not appear, to create amazing work that is, in fact, appreciated by your own people?
I think all I can do is show up every day and try and be a little bit better version of myself than I was the day before. And to have people recognize that I'm striving for excellence and that I'm making progress, it's really validating. You know, it's hard to know exactly what direction to go in a career, especially in a career that you're inventing on the fly. You know, it's not a standard path. And to have that kind of affirmation, it feels like new possibilities can happen. That people are seeing it and responding to the work I'm making. It gives me hope that the future is bright.
Yeah. I love seeing us in all kinds of spaces, even those spaces that were created without us in mind, and yet we come in and do our thing. And when we do our thing, it is valued, it is appreciated, it is purchased, it is supported by us and by others. Jason McDonald is in some rarefied air as a celebrated glass artist, and I'm honored to have had him on this program to talk about and indeed to celebrate his craft and his art. Jason, thanks for your work and your witness. Thanks for this conversation, and happy holidays to you, sir.
Being in conversation with you today was a joy. I appreciate you having me, and you have some happy holidays yourself.
Thank you, sir. The joy was all mine. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over. Until tomorrow, thanks for tuning in to Tavis Smiley, and as always, keep the faith.